Also bring in former acting U.S. Attorney General and Managing Director at Asium Strategies, Matthew Whitaker, right now. Matthew, good to see you again. Thanks for coming back on.
Hey, great to join you.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about here, but I want to start with the whole Roger Stone situation. We saw three prosecutors resign today as a result of the...
Well, it seems to me that the 7 to 9 years was an extraordinary sentence for what he did. At the same time, I'm worried that it's going to be viewed as vindictive because he did take the government to trial and he was resistant to any cooperation or any participation with the government to testify against others. So obviously, this is the folks at Main Justice who supervise all prosecutors across the country did not agree, and so this is where I think the line prosecutors probably should have worked with the U.S. attorney to make sure everybody was on the same page as to what the recommendation was. But ultimately, and the thing that folks need to understand is the judge is the one who sentences, and it's going to be a recommendation from the prosecutors. He doesn't have to give that any weight, and a recommendation from the defense lawyers is also going to be provided, and the judge ultimately is the one who sentences defendants.
Well, based on the facts of the case, what we know and what the verdict is, what do you think would be an appropriate sentence?
Well, I would go to, this is going to sound like a very lawyerly answer, but I would go to the 3553A factors, which is essentially says the sentence that is enough but not too much, and taking in all the characteristics. I think. Do
you think? We can just simplify. Do you think Roger Stone deserves to go to jail?
Well, he was convicted by a jury of his peers. The question is, what's the appropriate sentence? And I think, this is the hardest job that judges that wear the white robe and have lifetime appointments have to make. He is, as Chief Carrick pointed out, he's no threat to society, and he's, really ultimately we have to have a conversation that the president has started with, who are we sending to prison and for how long? I think 7 to 9 is too long, but, this is one of those things as a former prosecutor, I probably usually err on the side of more, not less, but at the same time, there are mitigating factors in this case that would suggest a lower sentence than what the prosecutors recommend would be appropriate.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. That sentencing should come next week. And there seems to be more firings at the National Security Council, too, after Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman and about 70 other people were fired or sent back to other agencies or other government departments. The Washington Examiner now reports that many of the people were loaned over to the National Security Council from other agencies. The Obama administration that staffed up about 200 people. This comes after there was a whistleblower from the Intelligence Committee that said Trump's call with Ukraine and the Ukrainian president had a quid pro quo. There's also talk now about some sort of investigation. Chuck Schumer has called for all the inspector generals to take a look at Lieutenant Vindman's firing and the reassignment of others. Do you think that's an appropriate step to take, or is Chuck Schumer tilting at windmills here?
Well, this is the president is entitled to an NSC that follows his policies, and what we had here were people that were trying to substitute their own policy versions for that of the president. If you disagree with the president's policies, then you should run for president and not try to manipulate through bureaucratic inventions and techniques your own policy and substitute it for that of the president. So I feel strongly the president can put whoever he wants into the executive branch. Obviously, we have career civil service protections, but what happened to Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, I think, was appropriate, and he's not entitled to serve in the NSC, and he shouldn't serve in the NSC.
All right, Matthew Whitaker, great to see you. Welcome back to Newsmax Now. Look forward to our next conversation. We'll hopefully have it again real soon, Matt. Take care.
Let's plan on it. Thank you.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing news channel, now in 65 million homes. Get Newsmax TV on all the major cable systems or go to NewsmaxTV.com and click on the Find Newsmax tab to locate us. Remember, Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.